You are, in fact, watching The Dorkening.
You're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned.
For all the geek news everywhere. Dorkening.
And this is The Dorkening. Trust me, I'm smarter than these guys.
Because The Dorkening is the best and most educational entertainment and information source that the Trauma team knows of. It's the best. The Dorkening.
Hey, happy Tuesday. You're watching Splash Pages powered by the Dorkening Podcast Network. My name's Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard. We have a kick-ass show for you today. This is awesome. I'm absolutely psyched. But with us, as always, Velvet Joker. How's it going, bud?
It's going great. And we do have a great show tonight. In fact, it's turtly awesome. And we have a person here that is part of the first layer of turtle history. Ninja Turtle history, no less. Let's get this going. Drew.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to make any turtle puns because those were so awful. I'm going to crawl back into my shell. That's all I'm going to say. Really excited to be here.
Obviously, we are talking to the man, the legend, Steve Lavigne. How's it going, sir?
Hello, I guess I have to say. I mean, we're going with this? We're starting that way? Okay.
Oh, Shell, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So for those that don't know, you were the first employee with Eastman and Laird.
Yeah. I actually go a little further back with Calvin Eastman, as I like to call him. Kevin and I went to high school together. So known him longer than I'd like to admit anybody should know anybody on this planet. But thank God I do know the man. He's been a lifelong friend. So yeah, I was offered in the very early days of Mirage an opportunity to kind of join up and do the lettering on the comic books, which I had never lettered a comic book in my life, never even thought about lettering. Kevin offered it to me. He was doing the lettering in the early books, and I know he hated it, and he would have hired a monkey if a monkey would have been there at the moment, but I was lucky I was there, not the monkey. And I actually went to their very first convention, which was in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I had to be approved by Pete. That was the big thing. Kevin's like, well, once you meet Pete, if Pete thinks you're okay, you can join. I was like, oh, okay. So I went to meet Pete literally at their very first con, and for some reason Pete liked me as well, and the rest is kind of turdy history. That's where I began. That was my humble beginnings.
And they say Michealangelo is modeled after your personality. Is that true?
This is definitive right here. Hairline for sure.
Right.
Yeah, it's so weird. That came up. I started hearing it at conventions from people, and Kevin had kind of left Mirage and was out on the West Coast and doing his thing for a while, and evidently doing interviews. And I guess that came up in a couple of interviews, and so I started hearing it from fans, and then I had to go find the interviews and go, yeah, I guess he did say that. But I mean, I think all of us were saying stupid. Can I swear on this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, saying stupid shit around the studio that we're getting into the turtles' mouths eventually, anyways. But I'm thankful he just said Mikey was mine, because out of all four of them, I think I'm the closest to Mikey. So
okay, and would you say that is still your personality today? Kind of like the lighthearted, groovy kind of guy.
I feel like you need to ask everybody else but me, but yeah, that's kind of the gist I get from most people is, yeah, I get it. When they meet me at a show or something like that, they kind of like, yeah, kind of understand what they were thinking. I would say I'm more the guy in the studio when there was, everybody might have been, a couple people were bickering about something and kind of like couldn't resolve it. I just kind of look at them like, really, that guy kind of calling people out in a fun way and letting them know they were fools for being angry about nothing, that type of stuff. So kind of like what Mikey does with Raphael and the rest of the boys in the, the group. So I'll take that.
Oh,
nice.
So you're the guy who everyone's fighting. You're the one who's okay, but pizza will.
As long as I wasn't the guy they were fighting with, yeah, I was the guy dispelling it. Yes, and let's have a peace offering of pizza. That type of thing. So
very nice.
Yeah.
Steve, I'm loving the shirt there. Are you a gamer? Are you a big gamer?
Oh, I think I've had every system since Pong.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. I'm a Sega and PlayStation guy, so Nintendo. I played all of it. The beauty was for me being more of a Sega gentleman at the time was the multi-platforms of the Turtle games allowed me to justify buying Nintendo and Super Nintendo just so I could check out the games and make sure they played correctly. Being the art director, for the company, I had to do that type of stuff. So that was my justification. But I always had, game systems, and yeah, I'm a gamer.
Nice. Yeah, I've been same here. Being somebody that's up in years. Definitely started with Pong, and actually this is pretty cool.
Yep.
So,
Shows your swag.
So I started hunting down old Atari games.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a new addiction now, trying to find complete in-box games.
Well, it's funny on PlayStation now. You can, well, of course, find in the box. I get that, but it's nice to be able to play like the old Ataris and stuff like that on there. There's tons of emulators out there, anyway.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
but
those games there. I mean, you can play. The beauty of those is. Die, go back to the beginning. You're not, I remember when my kids were little with PlayStation, when you could write down the codes, to get back to the thing, my three little kids would literally sit next to me, X, square, triangle, circle. Okay, got it, Dad. You can, so I could go back and play where we just finished up. So it was always very funny and kind of a nice thing, and we have pictures of my kids when they were very little. I'm playing the games, and they both have two of the three were able to sit next to me, and they both have controllers that aren't hooked into anything, and they're just like, you know, playing nothing, but I'm playing, you know, so it's just kind of fun.
Very cool.
What are you playing right now?
Right now, I am playing mostly like weird stuff. I don't have a lot of time to play anymore.
Yeah.
I really love the Uncharted game series. That was probably the thing I played the most religiously. God of War. And then I play a lot of the independent stuff on PlayStation now. There's some, Redneck Chicken or something? I don't know. Some crazy, beautifully animated, simple kind of side-scrolling fun game. I usually that's where I go now because I have I limit my time.
Yeah.
So the bigger, the more epic the game, the less time I have to enjoy the cutscenes and everything in between. So it's kind of sad in that sense that I haven't bought a PlayStation 5, and I keep looking like, do I need one? Kind of like my 4 still, but you know.
The answer is yes, you do need one.
I know the definitive answer is yes, but my meh answer right now is the time allotted. You know, I love Crash. You know, I love the Crash racing. I've got that. You know, downloaded some stuff. I just did. Kind of did stuff for a limited run for the new Shredder's Revenge game.
Oh, nice.
Let's see if I can.
That comes out next week, I think, or this week.
Yeah, you know what's so funny? I've been working on it for months and months and months, and I know you can't see me. I'm looking for a piece of art that's not here.
What aspect did you work on it, Steve?
Well, so it started out, I was talking with the guys, so it's packaging. So, you know, they do 2 versions. They're doing a VHS box version.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like the NECA, you know, the new NECA stuff, how it looks like the old VHS boxes, of which I did it's driving me crazy too. So I did a group, initially they were like, hey, we want it to look like the deluxe set to look like the old sewer play set, but not the sewer play set, but we want it to look like that. So I created what would have been a play set. I called it Dead End Alley because it's the turtles backed into an alley. It's Shredder's Revenge, you know, type of a thing. And
Right.
And so it goes to Eat.emu and Nickelodeon. They're like, oh, well, this doesn't look at all like what we're doing. I'm like, well, no, because it's supposed to look like the old toy packaging. You know, they're like the turtles look like toy figures. And I'm like, yeah, because in the original toy packaging, we tried to make them look like figures, so they didn't look too crazy, like stuff you couldn't actually do with the figures. You know, like they only had so many points of articulation, type of a thing. Mm-hmm. So it was so weird that I got all this weird feedback, and then the piece I did for the VHS box, I had to bring somebody else in. Needless to say, they kept telling me like, they don't look like the cartoon turtles, and I was like, I literally took out model sheets. They're more dead on than what I ever did back in the day, because back in the day, early days of licensing at Mirage, it was me and Ryan Brown who were doing all the licensing, or 70% of it, let's say. And our thought initially, because there was no guidelines, it was Kevin and Pete owned the company, it was us. We were like, well, we should make them look a little bit like the toys and a little bit like the animation. So we kind of hybrided. Whenever we drew the turtles, it was a kind of a hybrid of the toys and the animation. So it was just so weird when I was working with them. They were kind of like, I don't know who the editor was. We're like, no, this doesn't look right. And they literally said, make it look like this. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what they sent me was my own artwork. And told me, can you make it look like this? I'm like, no, because that doesn't look like the animation. It looks like our version of them. But they couldn't get that. And I was just literally so frustrated with those guys. It drove me crazy. I ended up doing a piece that doesn't look at all like what I wanted to do. I don't know if you can see it well, but I don't know what you're there. I think that's the best way.
Okay, perfect. Stop right there. Perfect.
Yeah, so I mean, these guys look a little more like the pizza eating cow, a little more like the animation, you know, like
right.
And that's where I was at, and they wanted something. I'll show you where I ended up with the group shot. I ended up just changing the group shot so they look like these guys. Oh, that way.
A little bit. Yep. What?
Nice.
No, stop right there. Perfect.
Yeah. So
nice.
and it was just so weird to me because I'm like, no, those do not look like the animated turtles. They look like our toy turtles, like our combination. So it was just a weird process, but it's coming out. I don't know how much credit I'll get. I designed. I had another guy a gentleman, Tim Laddie, who is he's worked on Ghostbusters for IDW. I know he's done some turtle stuff.
He does the variant covers for the Ghostbusters comics for IDW. I have some of his work.
Yep, super nice guy. I met him down in Louisiana, where he's from, and I brought him in kind of like in March on this because they wanted everything done by March, and they hadn't gotten approvals from anybody. And like, I can't get 2 pieces done in the time allotted, and here we are. I think he just finished his piece. So basically, he took over my back end, my dead end alley piece, upped it to his style of art as opposed to my old school style. So anyways, it should come. It's going to be awesome. And Laddie is doing now for IDW. He just started doing 1987 TMNT, kind of, I guess, what they did with Batman going back. So it's the throwback. So I should be doing a few covers with him, coloring at least, if not a little bit more on that stuff. But super nice guy, very talented young guy. Everybody's young to me, but young guy, probably the same age as you guys, young. But yeah.
Oh, totally the same age.
It was fun to do that. I don't know what's taking that game so goddamn long to come out, though. I mean, it feels like. Does it feel like 3 or 4 years since you've heard about Shredder's Revenge?
I think it comes out this week, though.
It is, I know, but I mean, it's just so funny to me because even when they asked me to do it, I was like, "It's not out yet."
Yeah.
Like, no, we're going to be doing the physical world version of it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that game's not out yet." I feel like I've seen enough cut screens and things from it on the internet through Turtle fans and stuff like that. But yeah.
Oh yeah, videos and everything. Same here. I went to. I went into the PlayStation store the other day thinking I could just buy it, and it was like, it's coming out. Yeah, it messed up. Billy Baird says, "Hello guys, I have a question. Did IDW lose the rights to TMNT? If so, will they start all over again with a new company?"
As far as I know, they did not, because like I said, I'm doing 1987 Turtles with them. I don't want to speak for what I don't know. I know that there are issues at IDW. But I don't think that's the case at this moment. I can't imagine who would take it over. It'd be nice if somebody else did. The page rates and cover rates will be a lot better, but that's just a professional. Yeah. Thank you, Jay. I will be looking forward to the cannolis.
Nice.
Jabo, you do cannolis like hook a brother up,
Yeah, seriously. What the hell?
We always get cannolis. I was looking forward to the Granite State Con, which we'll see him at. I'm sure you guys. That's going to be need a new TMT. Okay. That's going to be a fun show. I don't know. You guys must have heard about the Granite State.
Yeah,
I'm aware of it. Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's going to be a crazy, great turtle show. I mean, I'm very excited about that.
Steve, with us having you here and you being such a part of turtle history, what was it like in the beginning? What were the offices like? I mean, did you eventually, were you in the early years, were you like working out of someone's basement? Like, how did it all go down?
Okay. I will tell you when I first joined. So Kevin and Pete hooked up in Dover, New Hampshire. I joined just after they left. At that time, they were following around Pete's wife, who was a teacher, who had the real job. So when I joined, Kevin and I had an apartment. Pete was already married, so him and Janine had their own place. And what was a kind of like back porch that would have ended up being the second bedroom, which was mine, was also the Mirage Studios office. So my bed was here, desk and copier were over on the other side of the room, and the rest was mine and Kevin's apartment. So that was the early days, and there's some pictures of Pete has put on the back of some of the Mirage books of us actually counting books in his basement. So all the books would get shipped there. And that's why I always go like, I don't think there is a pristine mint version of any of the books, because we literally would take every book out of the box, put them on our laps, and hand count them and put them back into the box before we ship them out to make sure that we had the right number of books in each box. Right. And then we'd break it down and ship them out to all the different things in different places. So, which is something that I did in my early days while lettering, and kind of did anything else I could do.
Wow. And how many years was that kind of existence before you guys moved into like full-fledged offices?
Oh, well, that was, let's see, we had 2 years there. Then when we moved to Northampton, it was probably a good half a year before we got an official office space, which was literally like a couple room office that we really didn't do much at, but go and get the mail. I think there was an initial like, hey, we'll put our drawing tables here. But there was a lot of like, that would require all of us to go there and work. You know, Kevin and I kind of worked at our apartment, and, you know, Pete worked kind of at his place. And then we get together and goof off and have fun and talk about crap, and then look at everything, and then go, you know, kind of revert back to where we were, you know. So I always feel like I got brought in as a playmate for Kevin because, you know, Pete was already married. So Kevin was bored a lot. But no, I mean, we always had such a great time doing everything we were doing, so it was nice, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys had a great time. And,
yeah, it was.
Now, Steve, you had said that you had never lettered before. So after working for these guys for a couple of years, what was your first non-turtle project, and what did you do on that?
You know, it's so funny, Rich. I mean, truly, I don't think it was until years later that I did anything non-turtles. I mean, we were, because it was such a tight, you know, everything was in-house. So, you know, at the onset, you know, lettering the regular book, then we, you know, brought in Jim Lawson, who a friend of his was a teacher and knew Pete's wife. So he kind of joined the studio. So I guess, yeah, Prime Slime Tales, which was published by Mirage. I did the lettering on that, and I helped ink the, you know, a little bit on Jim's stuff.
Prime Slime Tales, was that a Ghostbusters title?
No. It was actually this gentleman, Tony Basilicato, who was a puppeteer or muppeteer. I know he worked somehow with Henson. This is funny. This is also a big part of the Turtles becoming a toy. So Tony, they met him in Connecticut. He wanted to do this book, Prime Slime Tales. His pencils were really rough. Jim was willing to ink it and clean it up. Jim did that. So Tony and Thank made these Muppets of turtles for Kevin and Pete. Those are the things that Mark Friedman bought to the toy companies so they could see it in 3-dimensional, what a turtle would look like. So literally that one affiliation. So yeah, I mean, that would be like something non-turtles, but it was actually in studio. And that was pretty early on. But later on, I did some stuff for, you know, as a licensing artist, we were doing stuff for different companies. And, you know, occasionally another company that we did something for, we're like, hey, will you do some stuff? I did some stuff for Police Academy. The cartoon, which is very cool. You know, it was on for one season to, you know, cartoon. And it was just kind of this weird piece, but they like, would you do this? And I'm like, I guess. You know, sure. I guess, you know, yeah. It was odd and weird.
If the check's good, I'll do it.
100%, yeah. So that was I mean, we were all so busy. I mean, that was the beauty of it. You know, we didn't farm a lot of it out. You know, a lot of everything, almost, you know, so much of it was done in house, one way or the other. You know, so, you know, we were working on. So for a while there was Tales of the Turtles. I was painting the covers for those. I was lettering both books. I was. This is pre-licensing, you know, toy stuff. Then anything else, then the graphic novels, all the first comic graphic novels, I assisted Kevin on the first one. And there was 3 other colorists that broke up the book. And Kevin and I, like, you know, Kevin, you know, his stuff was perfect and it was great. And so my other thing was they were like, hey, do you want to paint the next graphic novel? I'm like, yeah. One of the books? They're like, no, all of the books. It'll be, you know, 4 issues. You'll be painting all of them. And I was like, yeah, you know, stupid enough just to say yes, because that's what you did back then. You know, you're like, yeah, I can do it. No idea I could finish that much work. I had never done that amount of work. You just do it, So it was a lot of fun. And yes is the perfect answer. Unless you don't want to do it, you got to say yes first and then back your way out of it,
Absolutely. And my last quick question, any shot of a return of shellback artwork?
Only online. I mean, I still run a Facebook. My wife runs the Facebook page, kind of like we put up a lot of crap on there. I loved having it. It was a great place. Peter Laird actually, I mean, I had the place for 4 years. I think he signed there 6 times in 4 years. And then was probably just hanging around the shop another, 3 or 4 times just to hang out there. He loved it so much that when I was closing it down, he goes, "I'll give you a year's rent. I'll pay your rent for a year if you keep it open." I'm like, "Nope." It was great, but I was there all the time. I felt like I
understand. I've owned a mom and pop before, 7 days a week, 80, 90 hours a week. You're killing yourself.
Yeah. And I was at the counter inking stuff, and I'm like, I don't ink like standing up, but that's all I had to do there. And I had a couple of people that, kind of used me as a trap, like they knew I had to be there and they just wanted to spend the whole day with me, and you're like, well, that's fine, but I really have to do other stuff to entertain. But they couldn't fathom that, and I can understand on one level, but on another level, it's like, come on, think about it, but
you have to work even if you loved it.
Which I did. I mean, the hard thing is, we're in Maine, and we're in a beach town. Summer, there's a shitload of traffic, but the second the snowflake falls out of the sky, you can walk naked down Route 1 and for 3 or 4 miles, and nobody's going to see you. So that was the same case with the shop. So I used to do art classes. I did I wanted to have older kids, but most parents have paid for a lot of lessons at that point. Like, you took dance, you played guitar, you're not doing any of that. I'm not paying for your drawing lessons now. So it was generally younger kids up to junior high age, which was fine. But I just wanted somebody that I could really help, a little bit more, kind of if you're leaving high school and going on to an art career, tell you what you might run into, that type of stuff. But I didn't get that, but it kept the doors open for, a while. So
nice. Very cool. Yeah. All right. I'll pass it on to everyone else. I've been hogging you. I'm hogging you, Steve.
I think Drew was trying to get some questions in.
It was, he was just asking such good questions. I just, I was like, man, Rich is on a roll. I'm just going to let him. He wasn't here last week, so I got to let him get his licks in,
There you go.
Yeah, got to be respectful. It can't, again, it's not all about me. There's other heroes in the half shell here. So,
although you're the one
so Steve, first, hey, listen, okay, you got to show up. I mean, this isn't like one of those things where you go to a show and you're wearing, the shirt of the band you're going to see. PCU taught me, don't be that guy. So, this is different. So, what I was going to say is, so Steve, the moral of one of your stories is, if your friends say, hey, I've got this thing, you say yes until you realize it's a mistake. Okay,
it hasn't. Yeah. I mean, it hasn't become a mistake yet. My parents might have disagreed with me at the onset, had a pretty good job, nothing I was going to make a career out of it, I thought. But, and then again, like I said, I went to high school with Kevin. So I dated one of his sisters. He dated one of my sisters. So both of our parents knew us. So they knew me and Kevin had a track record of being dumb. So as all high school age gentlemen and women do. So they were a little apprehensive, but I mean, it was the best mistake I've ever made if it was a mistake.
No. I mean, listen, I understand. One day, Rich up there just said, hey, we're on this podcast. I think you'd be good for it. Like, give it a shot. I'm like, all right, well, I'm unemployed. I have nothing better to do. And here I am. I've got the job. I'm more than employed enough, and I'm still doing this. And somehow it's working. I don't get it. But, hey, we've made it work.
It's the power of yes. The power of yes.
Yeah, power of yes. And then when you just lay down a debilitating no, it's just, the technodrome of denial. what I was going to ask is, you've been involved in comics and stuff for a while, which, is awesome. But, did you how do I say this? Did you have like a moment in comics that was just like, that resonated with you? It was like, I like the thing that draw you in. Like everybody has like a moment or a comic or something that they read that just hooked them. They're like, you know what? This is for me now. I can do that.
It would have been Mad Magazine and anything by Don Martin. Everything in high school I had, drooping noses and floppy feet, and that I would have wanted to be the next Don Martin, and Sergio too. Like I said, Sergio's a god to me. So for me, comics was a little foreign. I have to say, living with Kevin, so he had his comics in milk crates, like people have albums in his bedroom. So I would, when we first started living together, I just go in and grab like a run of books and just bring them into my room and just kind of get a little education on comics. Of course, I got the Kirby is King. Don't even think about anything beyond Kirby. If you do, all these guys are good, but it all came from Kirby. Other than that, it was just panels, blah. He broke the panel. And you do learn that, and it's a definitive lesson. When you do look at comics and you look at where they were in the second he got into that, that stage of his career, you're just like, shit. That's where comics are. It's all about a 2-page splash page. It's all about bursting on, panel layouts and not, boom, 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 boom. It was so different. So, I got all that. I got it. And of course, Kevin and Pete were diehard comic fans. So, they gave me all their favorite stuff to read. So I kind of feel like I got a really good education that way, in visually and also storytelling, with the, some of those great old stories and stuff. And so for me, that was my onset was literally Kevin's collection. And that was me learning about comics. I had a few comics as a kid, from the old spinner racks and the, in the grocery store or whatever. And those are folded in my back pocket. And I probably only had 2 my whole entire life, but I would have thought I had 1,000 of them, because they were always with me type of stuff. But more of a Mad Magazine guy.
Okay. And then another question I had was that you worked on so many things, and very much now, I would say over the last 5, maybe 10 years, the Turtles, besides, I used to follow the IDW stuff. I literally followed it all the way to issue 100. They've become a very much common crossover entity. You've seen Batman, you've seen Ghostbusters. I think I saw a fan art, which was, hi, where is TMNT versus Street Sharks? And I was like, that is the greatest idea. I have never seen. Why?
There's one greater, Daredevil.
Okay. Daredevil. Because of the origin.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. That if the mouse would let us play with Daredevil, that would be amazing. That to me is the perfect crossover. I got to do a Batman turtle animated cover with Peter Laird. Actually, I was penciling it, and we were talking, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this Batman turtle cry." And he's like, "Can I ink it?" I'm like, "Yes, that would be fine, Pete. I would be happy to have you ink it."
Right.
And for me, the only thing I heard when I was asked to do it was Batman. I knew they talked about the Turtles afterwards on the phone to me, but I was like, "Yeah, Batman." Just a loud ringing after I heard Batman. But that's my nerd love of Batman. I love the Turtles, love them. But of course, the perfect thing is Daredevil. It's Daredevil. Street Sharks. See, to me, for us, we were like, those bastards, they're almost ripping us off completely. That feeling? Right. I remember when the Power Rangers first hit, we were like, oh, we're fucked. We are complete. They're different colored. There's a million episodes because it's already been established over there. We're dead. We're dead in the water. But luckily they actually crossed over, and did a crossover with them. Yeah. So, very bizarre. But that the onset, I remember that distinctly, like those guys, we're dead. We're dead. Once these Power Rangers, we can't produce enough material. It's already
Right.
produced over there. They're just just repackaging it and shipping it here. So that was a little scary, but yeah, I still think Daredevil. I actually did a piece with another artist, Steve Mardo, and I mocked it up as a Daredevil. Night of the Devil with it's Michealangelo, Daredevil, water tower, hand and foot, and the shredder's on top. So you get the hand, you get the foot, you get that crossover, and it just seems so natural. So natural.
We need that art. We need that art, Steve. You got to throw that up online.
I'll put up the cover or something, but I mean, it would just be so perfect. So
That's
perfect.
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, will you be selling prints at the cons for that?
Oh yeah, I do have prints of that. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can
I
get
totally
New
buy that.
Hampshire is the closest one coming up. Is I guess New Hampshire, unless you're going to be in Louisiana next weekend, because I'll have it down there.
Our budget really doesn't allow such things, but if we win a couple more awards, maybe we might be able to go out.
There you go. You get two. Once you get 2 awards.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Well,
200.
Steve, are you by any chance going to be at Terrificon this summer?
No, I did Terrificon a couple of years ago now, just pre-pandemic, and I loved it, but we haven't been back. I love Mitch.
All right,
yeah,
awesome.
He had a lot of fun. Did him a fun Daredevil. Captain America piece.
Yeah, he loves that.
Yeah.
Oh, he loves that. Well, that's another thing is that I still find it funny that I never realized this because I'm kind of like our resident turtle expert is Justin, who unfortunately I think couldn't make it tonight. He had power issues, so unfortunately, he's our resident master splinter when it comes to turtles. But I think it's so crazy that most people don't realize that crossover and reading the first issue, it's such a subtle thing that until it was pointed out to me, I don't know who did it, but it was like, yeah, that's a reference to Daredevil. And then you see it and you're like, wow, how did nobody catch this? It's so subtly clever crossover. You're like, Daredevil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you get Stick, Splinter, Master, Master Stick, Master, Splinter. And then hand and foot. Once you tell that, people like, it was right there the whole time. I'm like, yeah, it kind of was right there. And the canister that blinds Daredevil is the one that breaks open the bowl that chest piece has his 4 turtles in before they drop into the sewer. So the same mutagen that blinded Daredevil mutated the turtles as far as Kevin and Pete were concerned, And again, it was a parody. Yeah. And being gigantic Miller nerd that Kevin is, he was just harkening on Miller, trying to do that type of stuff. So, adding in the Daredevil. Yeah.
So, Kevin's going to be with you at Granite State.
Kevin will be at Granite State. Yeah. Jim Lawson's going to be there. I'm trying to pull Ryan Brown up from Ohio, but I don't think that'll ever happen. I hope, Pete right now physically can't do shows, which is hard. Yeah, it does. For us, it's incredibly hard, but he won't be there. But I was talking to the gentleman who puts on the show. I'm dropping his name in my brain right now. And I was telling him I'd love to do a panel with Kevin and Jim, and just give us some adult beverages, something to snack on, and let us just talk about the old days. And take questions like that. I thought that would be a blast because, hey, we're old bastards, and who knows how much longer we're going to be around? Who knows? Right. You can be 20 and drop. So it's nice to be able to have that time. When I get a little bit of time, because Kevin's not on this coast, and when he's here, he's seeing family. When we get a couple of minutes, it just feels like no time has stopped. Time had stopped, and way back when, and we're right back there in that same instant. So I think it'd be really fun. I don't know if it will happen, but it'd be really fun to do at that show at Granite State.
Relationship is still super strong.
And you could always do a thing where if you have like technology, if you have like a screen in the back, you could always see if Peter could broadcast, so he can join in.
That has been mentioned. So I'll reach out to Pete and ask him. I don't know if he'll do it because it's a little wonky, when you're the on-screen guy and everybody else is kind of talking amongst themselves, in the same space.
Sure.
So we'll see. it would be awesome if Pete could do that just for the for fans in general.
Right. Steve, with you coming in tonight, we ended up reading the first 3 issues of the Mirage run.
Yeah,
and it was interesting to me because it's been so long since I saw that original raw what the turtles look like in the very beginning. How long or how many years did that take to evolve to like what you showed us a picture of a little while ago? Because that is a totally different image.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at Kevin and Pete's progression from the first book to the second book, they've already altered.
Oh, that fast? Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you think I'm guessing by right around issue 4, because you think they did in between, they did Raphael. So that Raphael kind of falls in between issue 2 and 3, I think, if I'm right, because that was kind of their way. Kevin was doing Raphael. That was he laid out that whole book. It was kind of like when I actually hooked back up with Kevin, and he was living back in Maine, he was working on Raphael, which was was before issue 3 of the Turtles. I was there in studio when issue 3 came up, and I started actually working on issue 5. And even between there, they got bulkier. They got broader shoulders. They weren't as narrow at the top, and big feet, and their noses stopped drooping so much, and they got a little tighter, a little more. Yeah, so
it was a much quicker evolution than I would have imagined.
Yeah, and so like even the evolution to what I showed you, which is more the animated style, that, like I said, that kind of almost came from the toys a little bit in taking the toys. I mean, because the sculpt on the toys, like the knee pads and the elbow pads, are very distinct at the Mirage thing. They're filled leather pads, like you would get to play a sport or something. And you look at the toys, and they're kind of like weird wraps that kind of emulate what the thing did, but they're not quite the same thing. So that was always the trappings were always different. Even Leo's strap, Donatello having a strap, that type of stuff on their trappings alone varied pretty quickly. So yeah,
interesting. Thank you.
So
yeah.
So I had one question. So I admittedly, again, I'm still a kind of a turtle noob. I mean, not really, but still. So I never read the first issue, and I completely forgot that in the first issue, it's basically kind of like the first movie where you introduce Shredder. He's a formidable threat. He has the history with Splinter and all things. But in the end, he dies, and that's the first issue. And it was funny because I thought of 2 things. One, I thought of how, like, Robert Kirkman, Walking Dead, how in the first arc, he kills Shane because he wasn't sure that this book was going to last that long. And he said, like, oh, had I known it would have been 150-some issues, I obviously wouldn't have killed him. And it also reminded me of a thing that I remember reading about Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness when they were doing Deadpool. They were doing their run, and they just like, listen, we just assumed after every issue we did, we were going to get fired or told that the book was going to get canceled. So we just said, to prove that we don't care about language, they just fuck it. So let's just do whatever. Let's write. Do you feel that with the first issue, they kind of had that, we don't know how long this is going to last, so we just want to tell a great story. And if this is the only issue, hey, we can say we did a bomb for one shot.
1,000%. I mean, literally, it was a parody. I mean, it was their kind of parody of Ronin and Daredevil and, all this, the New Mutants. I mean, the name alone is the Teen Titans, the New Mutants, all the stuff that was going on in comics at the time. They kind of took a little clip from everything. So it literally was, you don't kill the best villain, one of the best villains probably in comic history now, which is weird to say. I may be overstepping my bounds there, but you don't kill him in the first issue if you think you're going to make issue 2. So yeah, I mean that there was no thought about another issue. It was literally a one shot in their mind, and then of course the acceptance of it from the comic world and people buying it, and now we need more, and then they had to come up with the Mausers, and that was issue 2, and they brought April in, all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, there was definitely not. I mean, I always joke that, so, you know, me and Kevin, we're in our 20s, you know, in the early days of the Turtles, very early 20s. And so we'd come back to visit our friends in Maine, you know, around the holidays when everybody's usually around in the bars. So we'd see our buddies and they're like, hey, what are you guys doing? They're like, hey, we're doing comics. And their instant response is like, oh, so you're doing, you know, Spider-Man, Batman, what are you doing? And we're like, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And they'd pat you on the back and go, oh, good for you. Hey, good for you. Because it was nothing. A couple of years later, we'd come back and we'd say this, you know, like we're doing comics, doing the Turtles. Like, oh my God, the Turtles are so wild. You know, such a weird thing. You know, how it seemed like forever for us, but it was literally, you know, 4 years before there was already something potentially coming on TV, you know. And again, because we were in such a small group, we're always working on stuff. So I don't think we got to enjoy it as much as we popped some champagne in mine and Kevin's apartment with all the guys when the toy deal went through, you know. And you know, we had a lot of fun. I mean, the great thing is, like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Turtle Power documentary that came out. I hate to say it, but it's incredible. The beauty of it was that Pete always had a video camera. He used to rent them before he could afford one. And he always like would tape us doing stupid stuff. And I'm 9 times out of 10 the idiot walking into the camera going, why are you doing this? You know, like, because it seemed foolish to me, you know, like, who's going to watch this crap? And then when the documentary came out, he had lent all those VHS tapes and they put them all on there. Other than watching my hair disappear, it was just incredible. It was just incredible to watch. You know, it made me proud of what we did, because half the time we weren't in the moment because we were doing it. We were living it. You can't really appreciate it too much when you're just like, that's awesome. I got to finish this so it can go to, you know, this company so it can be printed. You know, that feeling all the time. So it was great. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I think sometimes we miss that aspect of it, you know, where we're not completely, even at movie premieres. We host movie premieres in Northampton, and until we were in our tuxedos and up on this, like, I introduced Kevin and Pete for the first movie at the premiere. And it was so bizarre to me that I'm up in front of a whole theater full of people talking about my two friends, and they're about to watch a movie about these stupid things from the sewer, you know. But it was incredible. I mean, but again, when I look back on it, I don't know. If you asked me now, I'd probably go, no, I don't want to get up on that stage. Too dumb to not say yes. You know that.
It's all good. But no, I also think, Steve, you bring up a point that, you know, that there was definitely been a shift in how comic creators are looked at. You know, I mean, if you talk back in the day, you know, say what you will about, you know, the greats like Kirby and Lee, you know, back in the day, being a comic book writer or artist was kind of looked down upon. You know, you're still kind of geeks. And now comic book writers and artists are like, I mean, you go to a con, depending on what you're working on, you're kind of looked at as like, you're the new rock star. You know, you wrote the hit pop song. And it's also funny because I was talking to somebody else about this, which is kind of, you know, I'd love to hear your perspective. A lot of the times, you know, the star kind of fades a little. Like, there are creators we know who, let's say like 2 years ago, their line is around the block. You know, they got to have agents because they're going to be there 2-3 hours just pumping out autographs like it's nobody's business. And then a couple of years later, they're still, you know, pretty popular and everything, but it's not the same because there's somebody else who's the big guy, who's the big, you know, writing the next big DC event or creating the next, you know, hit character. So, I mean, you were there, you came in around the let's say like early 80s, late like 80s, 90s. Yeah. So, you know, you're at the time when comics are starting to really be taken seriously. 85, you had Dark Knight Returns is coming out. You have Watchmen, you know, 2 big books that, you know, boom, there you go, right there. There you go. Yeah. You know, those are ones that really pushed comics into, as other people say, that's what pushed them to the next level. So, like, you watch the evolutions. What's your feelings on kind of like that change? I mean, you remember cons when they were in hotels at
a lot.
now.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. I mean,
now, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, San Diego's a great example of that. I mean, the early days of San Diego, it was artists. It was just a sea of artists, and you just went over to people that you thought, oh, I mean, I remember going up to a guy. I mean, this isn't my best moment, but I went up to a gentleman who I really liked his book. The guy wasn't receptive, and it was just so bizarre because I walked up and I'm like, hey, I really like your book. And he didn't even acknowledge me, and he wrote his name on the book, and then he just threw it kind of back at me. And I walked away with that fuck you very much attitude, because I came all the way over to say, hey, I like your book. You could at least notice in me as a human being. He didn't know who I was, and, whatever, that's fine. That, that aspect of it that's different. But I mean, it was wonderful to, like I said, I could go over and see Sergio Aragonés sitting at a table. Great. And it wasn't the craziness that, corporate craziness that San Diego is now, where it's just giant booths and movie stars. It was just people, there, and there was a lot of cool art and great stuff. So that changed. And again, the weird thing is, like you say, I mean, we're very fortunate, I think, because Kevin and Pete owned the Turtles. Unlike a lot of creators and stuff where you're working on somebody else's character, you might get a story, 6-issue story arc that's groundbreaking as shit, like Dark Knight Returns. And then you might not, nobody will remember your name 5 years later because you're not doing Batman anymore or whatever. That's the hardest thing, I think, for me to see in the industry when you're talking about amazing content creators, writers, and stuff like that. If they don't own the content, and they're not constantly working on that particular character, it's weird how quickly people forget, who you are, what you did, and how amazing what you did, how may have been, defining in the industry, but they don't forget your name, but they're not lining up, in huge numbers anymore to see you produce stuff, so we're kind of like the normal, I guess, for that, we, because we were the only guys in the studio, I mean, other than the, excuse me, which Kevin and Pete were great about letting people play in their toy box. They let other creators come in and do the Turtles the way they wanted to. It might have pissed off some fans in some of the fill-in issues, but to us, it was awesome. It was awesome to see Michael Zulli do his crazy giant turtles, or see cartoon turtles done by so-and-so, or different people just kind of doing different things with the turtles. So for us, it's always been that way, to have people play there. But we've always been kind of cool in the sense that we'll always be the turtle guys. Even when Pete finally sold the rights to Viacom, within it, he built in all these built-in things that we can do prints without having to get approval. We can do this. The core guys in the studio, he built all these nice little backdoor things for all of us. As far as cons and stuff, like, we'll always be the core turtle guys. Nobody can take that away from us. Stuff like that, which is not normal in a giant contract that you have to sign. So that's why it's a little weird. Like I think of, like, even somebody as big as Bill Sienkiewicz, in the 90s, he was a god. I got to hang around with him and stuff like that. But I don't see, like, a ton of Sienkiewicz stuff out there anymore. Like, he was nonstop for a while. And I love his stuff still. I mean, when I see him do a cover, I still appreciate his stuff incredibly. But it's weird that way, that we are kind of not the norm, in the sense that we've had a long career where we've been ourselves, I guess,
And it's rare to hear that a family unit like that has stayed together for the most part and taking care of each other, so that you guys all have a plentiful career. That's super rare, Steve. Super rare. I'm sure you feel super blessed about that.
Oh, completely. I mean, that is literally that's I can't echo that enough. That we, in family is a great way of putting it. We were always, you might get, there were points where attorneys came in and there was crap in the studio, but generally just the most pleasant experience you could ever have. Like I said, we love like brothers, we fought like brothers, we love like brothers, we fought like brothers, we love like brothers, we fought like brothers, we love like brothers. That's what it was like. So it was a great environment. You might get a different opinion from some of the other guys. I can't imagine you will. I mean, we've just, again, it was a blessed existence in that sense. We just to be able to do all the things we do. Like I said, yes, it's the key word. There was stuff that I never thought I would do in my lifetime. And I just said yes, so.
Now, now, Steve, there was one time where the guys kind of separated for a little while. What was that like for you?
Mom and Dad got a divorce. That's
okay.
what it was like. It was very, there was stuff like that happening within the studio for a little bit. Kevin and Pete were very similar, but very different people, which made them such a unique thing, because really Eastman and Laird is one person in my book, if you're talking about the art, because out of it, I don't think you guys might know better than me, have you ever heard of two people drawing on the same page and inking on the same page, but not, so one of them might have penciled the page and the other one's inking it, and they would just pass around the pages back and forth. So I'm inking this panel, but these 4 need to be done. So I'll do this one, and then they pass them back. So it's almost out of boredom. So the cool panels always got inked very quickly, and then the background fill-in panels got filled in slowly because I was lettering the books. So I got to see all the pages, and all the different versions of it as they were coming through. And it's just such a weird thing that Eastman and Laird are literally a person to me. They're one artist because the stuff that was on that page is one thing. It's not each one separate like you would think. Like when Kevin does his own stuff, it looks like Kevin's stuff, and when Pete does his own stuff, it looks like Pete's stuff. But when you see the turtle stuff they did together, it's Eastman Laird. It's a whole different, which is very bizarre and not in any way that I know of normal in any comics ever. To have something like that. So that's a pretty bizarre thing, there.
Yeah. Super original situation in many ways.
So, Leo, do you have anything? Because I feel like me and Rick talked enough. So do you have anything to contribute besides video games?
Well, the thing is, as you're asking your questions, I'm going, oh, shit, you asked my question. Okay, shit, there's another one. Shit, there's another one.
That was me and Rich, so that's fine. So
you're like the second row guy at a Comic-Con where the 2 front guys are asking all the questions, and you're just about to go, and then somebody else in front of you asks the question.
Yeah, exactly. Can I talk? Can I talk? Yeah. Can I? Okay, fine. Yeah.
Actually, something funny like that happened. I was in line to see Shatner. And he gave everybody like 1 minute to ask questions, and like the person's there for their minute. Then it comes to me, and I'm getting my signature, and like the person like in front of me like kept talking like when it was supposed to be my time, and like used up my time. I was so pissed.
Oh, but, yeah, that's not a cheap thing.
No. Yeah.
It's just funny. The Shatner thing always struck me as funny. I think we were in Toronto at a fan fest or whatever it was back in the day, and I think that was the first time we had that Shatner experience where he was in a completely different room, and you have to have a package, and we're like, so you have to buy a separate thing, so because we were getting our badges and people were asking, buying their badges, and it's like, so how do I get the full Shatner experience where I can, when am I going to get to pass Mr. Shatner a book? And they're like, no, there'll be a handler, and they're explaining the whole lowdown. And I remember just thinking, that's the most crazy thing I've ever heard. You can't hand them your book or whatever you want them to picture, whatever you want them to sign. Like, no, there's a handler there, and there's somebody in between you and him, and you'll be standing in front of the table for your photo. And it's like, what? How much you just spent, $100 something to stand in front of a table, and like pretend.
Now they split everything up, like Shatner there, it was a line for his autograph. If you wanted a picture, it was like a separate event. So crazy stuff. Before the show, Rich sent me this picture. He wanted me to show it.
Yeah,
that was that show back. Yeah,
it's supposed to be a super rare photo. It's got everybody together.
Yes,
you got Lawson, Kevin, and Peter.
Yeah,
and yourself,
and good old Calvin Eastman. I love, yeah. Boy, Kevin looks young there. It doesn't seem that long ago. We all look younger. I don't look that much younger, but yeah, nice to see. Yeah, that and again, the signings were what I missed most about Shellback. That was, it was a lot of fun. And like I said, I was so happy that Pete championed it so much, by being there and again offering to pay for a year to keep the place open. And I was like, it's not I wasn't making any really making money at it, but it still wasn't the money. It was more just the time there, like I told them. And then it also, it did help me get back into doing cons because somebody came into my shop and asked me to do a con. And I was like, well, I haven't done a con in years. And now I do cons all the time, which is wonderful. And I always explain to people that's kind of my better than having the shop, because I had people travel. I had people come from Australia to come to the shop. Wow. Turtle fans, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
But this gives me the opportunity to see a lot of people all over the place all the time, and kind of in turtle fans, I have to say we have a wonderful fandom. I mean, in the tens of thousands of people in my whole career that I've met and had the opportunity to say hey and talk a little bit of turtles with them, this many people I wouldn't want back at the table. And not they were the horrible people, but they stayed at the corner of the table and they answered questions, because they asked me questions. And then when somebody would come up and ask, like your moment, you want to ask you a question, they go like, so Mr. Lavigne, blah, and then the guy would answer the question. And I was like, that's so horrible. That I can see the disappointment on their face, because they want to hear it from me.
Sure.
Right. Steve, I didn't realize you were such a wonderful puppeteer, that your answer came out of that person's mouth. Wow.
I didn't have my arm under the table the whole time,
Yeah, just right up their pooper, just
exactly,
right, pulling the string.
Exactly. Took a little bit of Purell to get back to normal, but it was fun doing it.
Wash the hands, throw it away. Got it. Because that was funny, because I was going to ask you, like, you've done cons, what's been the best moment and what's been the worst? So is that kind of the worst?
That's by far the worst. And there is no best moment. I like them all. I really just enjoy, it's such a great thing to be able to talk to people about something they love so much, and to be a big part of something they love so much. So almost every interaction is positive. I can't really, hey, we were in Maui. So yeah, Maui was great. But we were in Maui. It was wonderful. That's a wonderful con. But it's more if you're talking in the con, like all of them. I love them all. I love talking to people. I like, if somebody feels good when they walk away from the table, I feel like I've done my job.
Absolutely. Do you love seeing people in turtles costumes? Like, if someone shows up as one of the turtles, April, Krang. I think one time I saw someone had done Bebop and Rocksteady. And again, I'm just like, do it. Get nuts.
Love it. I make them come behind the table and take pictures of me if I can. I'll tell you, I love, traditional stuff, but one of my favorite ones, I think it was in Saratoga, New York. This family came up and it was a mom, dad, 2 boys, and a little girl. And the little girl must have been like 3 years old. The boys might have been 8 to 10, and then mom and dad. Okay. But they did steampunk turtles. So dad and the boys had bowler hats and jackets, but they had turtle, like accessories and all this stuff. Mom was Donatello, so and the little girl who was 3 was April, and the little steampunk corset and all this stuff. So all their stuff looked like it was crazy, amazing, just to look at, and the thought process that went into making all the costumes were great. And I was talking to them a little bit, and the mom was more of a Renaissance fair lady, so she was used to making costumes, and I guess they were trying to think about something cool, and they picked steampunk in the turtles and put it together, and I was like, so cool, so cool. So it's fun to see, those combos, but in a weird way, not like, Frozen Zombie. You see that a lot around the shows and different things like that. It's always neat to see stuff that people will do, and we met a couple of people that were Bebop and Rocksteady. We did a show in Belton, Texas, and that's what they literally do all that. They came as Bebop and Rocksteady 3 days. Kevin was there. I think Ben Bishop was there. So it was a few turtle. It was kind of a big turtle type show. And so, every day they came as Bebop and Rocksteady, but in different costumes. Like, I'm like, what the, most people like, you got your one costume, and they're like, no, we can dress as many different ways as we want. It's like, that's crazy, and it was so cool. And their wives came as Mrs. Bebop and Mrs. Rocksteady.
Oh, nice.
Crazy. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
It was great. Yeah.
I I know we are running on time, but Steve, I had a question that hasn't been asked.
Okay.
Leo, this is your moment. This is your don't get compose and
well,
go.
You missed it. We had some awesome, Batman talk before the show, but with all the documentaries that come out, especially like Netflix, The Toys That Made Us, I'm sure you probably watched them when they came out. Was there a fact that they covered that you thought they totally got it wrong, or they should have covered it a different way, something that that like only you would know, being there from the beginning?
But the wrong thing, I'm going to go with The Toys That Made Us, and Kevin will echo this too, because we talked about it afterwards. They made Pete look kind of like a jerk, and throughout, oh, no, I don't want to do that, and that's just the kind of quirky way of making that particular show. Like I said, Turtle Power, if you have the opportunity, that I watched, and I will tell you, there was one thing in it that I did not know that it was something that was said at the very beginning of the documentary. And I was like, no, I never heard that. I live with him. I never heard that story before. Which was because Kevin, so when Kevin and I worked here in Maine at a summer restaurant, and so Kevin followed this beautiful waitress that he was dating here out to UMass. That's where he met Pete. So while they were kind of chumming around together before they had started the Turtles, neither one had a car. So they were riding the bus, and I don't know who said it, but one of them said, wouldn't it be fucking weird if this giant turtle came out and smashed into the side of the bus and spun it around and it did a 360? And that was what they said was the thought process to go to do Turtles. And I was like, what the fuck? I have never heard that uttered from either one of you in my entire life. But it evidently was. I asked Kevin, he goes, yeah. It was just a stupid, on the bus and, talking about stupid crap. And that came out, but he goes, I don't know how much it had to do with the Turtles other than it being a giant turtle, and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah. So, yeah, if you watch the Turtle Power, they do a really good job. It was so funny because I think we met him at the New York City Comic Con. They were doing, at that time, it had started out as a documentary in reverse, kind of like not about us, but about Turtle fans and what the Turtles meant to them. And they were there getting footage for that. And we just happened to be at the show with Pete. There's Pete, me, Jim, Mike Dooney, I think Dan Berger. I think that might have been it. And then they were like, hey, can we follow you back and get some footage of you guys at the studio? And we're like, yeah, why not? And then it completely turned into what became Turtle Power, which is, I actually just shot they're doing a second one. Nice. So it ended up, I think the first one ends up at the end of or maybe, I don't know what they include in it because I got the book and that mixed up, but it goes through the first movie, needless to say. It may be part of the second. So the second one was supposed to kind of go from where we left off and the new people all taking over. And I don't know if you know the show, The Goldbergs.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So anyways, Adam Goldberg is producing this documentary. I guess he loves the Turtles and loved the first documentary. And when they gave him a rough cut of what they had done with all the new people, they were like, he's like, no. They're like, what do you mean? He was like, I like the first one because it had all the old stuff in it. So they still had a buttload of old images. So they asked me to kind of, they were feeding me pre-fed questions to answer to the best of my ability, some of the old video stuff. So I don't know when it's coming out. They're making a second one, but the first one, like I said, it's a real gift. If you are a Turtle fan, I highly recommend it. Even though I'm in it, I still recommend it. It's really just beautifully put together, and they got to talk to all the voice actors, including Uncle Phil from, who was the Shredder, James Avery, before he passed away. All those guys. So yeah, it was kind of a nice gift if you're a Turtle fan. It's kind of a love letter if you're a Turtle fan, and for us, it was great for us. Like I said, being the guy walking into the camera telling Pete to stop filming, to the guy who said, "Oh my God, I'm so happy I can see all this stuff," because it's in our heads, but now I can see it on TV, which is kind of nice. So it's kind of cool.
So actually, J-Bo asked a question I was going to ask. Where can we find that documentary?
Well, it was released, so I'm sure it's on the World Wide Web. It's probably up on YouTube somewhere. It was streaming on Netflix. I think it's streamed on Hulu. It's Turtle Power, which sounds like there should be the KKK involved, but it's just Turtle Power. But yeah.
Facebook user says Voodoo.
Okay, Voodoo. There you go. Yeah. So I know it's, and you can actually buy it on Amazon. It's on DVD if you have something you put a DVD into. Yeah, and like I said, it is truly for turtle fans. If you haven't seen it and you call yourself a turtle fan, watch it, because you really do get a good insight to a lot of that. So, hey, it says it's me, Cooper. Is that my son, Cooper?
Justin Cooper.
Oh,
yeah.
And I'm like, my son he's not on here. That would freak me out. I'm like, what the hell?
Hey, Steve, not a question, but just to share you, I was probably a freshman or sophomore in high school when the Turtles come out, and I remember going over an older friend's house and him having 5 or 6 of the books, and reading those first 3 issues today brought me right back to that little apartment, just reading those books, and I'm like, this is so cool and weird at the same time. I love it. And now, my son is about to be joining the Navy soon. And I grew him up. Yeah, great words, Rich. He was raised being a nerd, and he grew up on the cartoons and stuff. So just I don't know if you can realize or fathom all the hundreds and thousands and millions of people that have those kind of memories, that you've brought them generations of fun. It's just incredible. So thank you, Steve. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. I mean, to that note, it's mind blowing. I mean, I've had the pleasure of one of my son's friends enlisted and in the Army. He asked me if I would design their patch for their unit. So cool. I did a turtle with full Army gear and the M16, kind of hunkered down like that. So I sent it off to his unit, to him, and I got a beautiful letter back from the sergeant. And I got a patch, from the unit, which I was like, that's so awesome that they actually sent me one. But my favorite thing was the sergeant in his letter. He said, never tell Reese, who was my son's friend, never, ever tell Reese, because he will tell the rest of the unit. But when I got the artwork you sent, I went over to the Xerox machine and, here, and made a copy of it. And I brought one to the guy who does the patches. And I brought the other one back to my barracks, and I got out my colored pencils and I colored the patch, because I felt like a little kid. It felt so awesome. And I was like, oh my God. And then another guy, while I had my shop, a woman came in, her husband was serving, and I don't want them all to be military. I completely love the military and appreciate what they do. But it was just, these are the ones that kind of get you. So this woman came in, her husband was serving, him and a buddy were in the same unit, and they were turtle fans. She asked if I would do a drawing for them, and I was like, yeah, of course I'll do a drawing for them. So I did a drawing for them. She sent them out. So like a year later, when he's off duty, he comes into Shellback Artworks, and at the time, I brought in some turtle toys that I had, my kids had played with. They were all in good shape, but so I had the turtle Humvee, and I had a couple of the military figures, and it was over on the shelf. So he comes in and he's talking to me, and he almost like the sergeant said, he kind of goes, hey, thank you so much for the drawings. He goes, it so revived my brain, because I was, you're not in a place you want to be, and all of a sudden you're not in a place anymore. You're back being a little kid. He goes, as a matter of fact, he goes, I actually went on eBay and I bought turtle sheets in my barracks. My bed had turtle sheets, and he goes, when I got there, he said, every time when I get to my barracks and I sit on my sheets, he goes, I could lose it for a little while. I could just not be where I was and not be doing what I was doing. I was a little kid sitting in my room, but I wasn't. It was just the sheets. And I was like, so while he was up in the gallery at my shop, I grabbed the Humvee, drew on the bottom of it, and I had it at the counter. And he comes up to say goodbye. And I'm like, hey, here you go. He goes, what's this? I'm like, that's for you. He started crying. Like I was giving him gold, and he looked on the bottom, and I had done a nice sketch, and stuff. He's like, you didn't have to do this. I said, well, you served, your story was incredible to hear that. I mean, it's humbling. It's humbling on this side of the counter to hear those type of things. So, and wonderful, to hear it from anybody. Like I said, that's the reason I love to do shows. I mean, how can you not be thankful to people when, what you did brought them pleasure and we were having a fucking great time doing it. We were, like I always say, when you were kids, you were having a great time playing with the toys. Well, we were a few years older, but we were just having as much fun as you guys, just doing the stuff. It was work, but we loved it so much. So it's easy to accept that, but at the same time, it's very humbling, to hear.
Awesome, great.
Ben says, "Hey Steve, missed the hell out of you, brother, and thank you for taking the time to hang with the boys tonight." I can't reiterate that enough, Steve. Thank you so much for your time tonight. It was absolute.
Last almost a full hour and a half.
I
there you go. Are we past your bedtime?
Are you getting a little sleepy?
Close. It's close.
Yeah, close.
The sun's going down, big guy.
There's still a couple innings of the Red Sox game. I'd still be up. The Red Sox are on, so I'd still be up. So.
So we'll let you go, Steve. Last question I have for you. Speaking of memorabilia, what's the weirdest piece that you've signed that a fan has brought to you?
Besides body parts.
Sure.
Never mind. I've signed a bra, which is awkward. That was very bizarre. The actually strangest thing was here in Maine at Coast City Comics. That's who I did the Batman cover for. So I was doing a signing there, and somebody comes up and they've got a small tortoise, and like, will you sign his shell?
Oh my God, no!
And I'm like, okay, but so they shed him anyways. He said that the shell is good. The shell's going away. It's not going to affect him. And I was like, all right. So I just did that. And then a little while later, this spouse of the person I signed the tortoise for, brought a goat in, and I signed the goat's antler and drew a turtle head on the goats. The impetus for them doing it was they were living on this farm that they were renting, and they wanted to keep renting the farm, but the owner wanted to turn it into a bunch of condo units. So they were trying to get enough attention for their farm, drawing enough people in with weird things like that was their. So I was like, I guess, if it helps you, awesome. Here you go. But that was pretty bizarre. That was about the strangest.
That's a weird one.
A goat horn. That was even weirder because you're looking at that weird devil goat eye, when you're doing it, and you're like, all right.
Please blink. Please blink.
Yeah. Please blink. Please blink. Don't talk like the devil or anything if you do.
Yeah, don't take my soul. I've seen Dragon in Hell. Don't you start talking.
Exactly.
So you're going to be in Louisiana soon. You're also doing Granite State. And
Granite State is probably the show I'm looking forward to. Other than, I'm doing Belgium, which is wonderful. But Granite State just will be a lot of fun. I don't know if have you guys ever done that show?
No, I've been wanting to though.
Okay, it's a great, well-organized, small show, small to medium. But the fact that it's so well-organized and stuff makes all the difference in the world. You kind of makes you happy. Thank you for the beverage. My wife decided to bring me. Wait,
nice.
Notice what she brought me. She brought me a nice Michealangelo cup.
Oh, very cool.
Radical.
Thank you.
So Granite State, I'm just really excited for that because I think it's going to be a gift for Turtle fans, because I don't think there'll ever be the Turtle Con that everybody always asks me about. Like, will it ever be everybody at one place? I'm like, oh, hey Ben, she just left, Ben. To me that's kind of like that. I'm looking forward to it for that aspect of it again, being the Turtle guys and stuff like that. I think it's just very exciting to how happy it could make a lot of fans. The opportunity. I know they keep adding new and more people to it. I know Judith Hogue, of course, is doing it. And I know Greg Sipes, who was Michealangelo in the Nickelodeon series. I'm excited to meet him, because I'm a nerd for the Nickelodeon series. That's probably my favorite version of the Turtles. Just love the designs and everything on that particular show, and loved everything after the first season. Just was wonderful. The first season was meh, but when they let them play, they were awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely. I think I'm going to try to go to that one. So I'll let you guys know if I'm going to go. If you want to join me, so we'll let you go, Steve. Jabo was just asking real quick, what's the coolest thing you ever signed?
I don't know. There's nothing cool. It's all turtle crap.
Yeah.
That's bad,
Well,
isn't it?
you
know, the hard thing is, I mean, the coolest thing, I guess, would be a goat. I mean,
yeah.
Goat horn is a pretty cool thing to sign. It's weird
Cool
at the same
weird.
time. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's nothing. It's always kind of normal stuff or turtle things, you know. So, yeah. Token. Oh, the Token Dad cover. Yeah, I did a cover with the Token Dad. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
have,
I always like to take up. Hey Ben, I always love to take up Bill Diamond's space if I get to sign that. Oh yeah, it's an ongoing joke that Bill and I are angry at each other because I even draw his. He likes to do a diamond with his name in it. I think I did a diamond on a couple things just to make him happy.
There you go.
Steve, where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
Well, you can reach me. You get quicker answers on Facebook on the Shellback Artworks, and you get more art, which I'm really horrible at, and I got to do a bunch of posts on Instagram on Shellback Artworks.
Very cool. And I have all those links in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. Steve, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for your time this evening. And,
happy to, guys.
We'll check you out at Granite State, and we're with Ben and Jeff all the time, so I'm sure I'll see you sometime soon. So, thank you so much, sir.
They had trouble with those two.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
No. That's the wrong movie to reference right now. We just say to you, Steve, Cowabunga.
Cowabunga to you all.
Cowabunga, dude.
Cowabunga to you.
Nice.
See you, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
That was too cool. That was too cool. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We still have a little bit of show left. We'll right?
How much of the show we can cram in 15 minutes?
Yeah, I know. So actually, I wanted to bring this up during the show, but with you guys had so many awesome questions for Steve, so I didn't want to interrupt it. But he was a little shocked with the information.
I'm putting a timer for 15 minutes, so hold on. Go.
Lady Gaga in talks to play in Joker 2 as Harley Quinn, and it could be a musical. What do you think of that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, it's just one of those things where I don't say anything until I see a trailer. Okay? Because again, nerds want to talk and fume and foam at the mouth. You know, honestly, if it's going to be great, let it be great. If it's going to suck, let it crash to the ground like the Hindenburg. Okay? In the end, if you want to see it, shell out the dough. If you don't want to see it, don't. The choice is yours, Captain Planet. Continue.
I love the first one, so I'm interested to see what they do. But it's early talk, so we don't know what's going on yet. What the hell is happening?
The choice is yours, Black Sheep. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry, Leo. Go ahead.
Ezra Miller. What the fuck? What the absolute fuck?
Yeah, that we don't have that long of a show to get into what's going on with him. Okay. He is losing it.
Listen, let's just agree. It's done. There's honestly, I think they're probably gonna maybe do, if Flashpoint isn't done, they're gonna probably.
I thought it's filmed already. Isn't it filmed, Drew?
Yeah, but now it's even the thing that I just want to say this. Okay, this is the thing, and it's funny because me and my girlfriend were talking about this. Is sometimes you have to really acknowledge that despite how talented people are, whatnot, actors are still people. They can still be crappy people. They could be a talented actor, but a shitty person. And, you know, did I like hearing this about Ezra Miller? I mean, have I been the biggest fan of his work? No, but he did decent stuff. He was an okay Flash. I liked him in the Fantastic Beasts. But when you find something like this, it just ruins all of that, you know? It's kind of like what happened with Bill Cosby. You had this icon, this person who did so much, and then the second you find out all the things that he did, that just all that washed away, And I think that's just the thing is any good that your legacy does is ruined by this reprehensible thing that you've done. And I'm sorry, there's really you can't say that there's essentially Rich said right that we don't have time. We've already spent 3 minutes talking about this. We don't have the time for it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, just crazy stuff, and we don't know everything that's what's true or not. But apparently, he groomed this minor, and he's like messing with her right now.
It's just not good.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is what the news is reporting, and they are trying to serve him, and he is not available, and he's sending weird memes that he's in another universe. So whatever for that.
Yep.
Well, okay. So what I'm hearing is Flash has now become Zoom. So, or he went reverse Flash. He went reverse Flash or Zoom. So,
how quickly can he kill his career?
With time travel,
Flash?
Anything's possible.
In a Flash.
Well, so speaking of Flash, rumor is that Keaton has been spotted during the Aquaman 2 filming.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on there. And speaking of Aquaman 2, the turd queen herself,
Amber Turd.
So rumor is right now that one insider is saying that Amber Heard has been recast. A WB spokesperson says it's inaccurate, insensitive, and slightly insane. I think the whole thing is insane. So we'll see what happens when the movie actually comes out.
Wait, for recast for 2? Like they're going to take her out and put someone else in? That's not happening.
Yeah. So apparently, at one time, like her screen time was like down to only like 10 minutes.
Okay.
And now it's like back up to 20, and we don't know what's going to happen since the trial happened. DC Comics has announced that a new Superman crossover event that wraps up Philip Kennedy Johnson's War World saga promises to send Kal-El back to Earth, and it kicks off with Superman War World Apocalypse #1 out August 30th.
May I also talk about one brief news thing?
Yeah,
please do.
I just want to bring up that right now a comic book great is currently in the hospital. That would be the wonderfully iconic artist Tim Sale has been rushed to the hospital. They have not. This was announced online by, I believe, Jim Lee.
Yes.
Who did this? They didn't really say what's going on there. Some people feel that some of his word choices kind of hint that this is not good. Thank you, J-Bo. Next time you should be on there. You totally commented more than all of us. But back to what I was saying, I'm hoping it's for a speedy recovery because it's been a rough year in terms of us losing comic book greats. Like I think I'm still recovering from I think the comic world is still recovering from the loss of George Perez. I was watching
and Neil Adams. That's two huge.
Yes, both of them. Yeah. I definitely feel that loss is going to be seen when we're at Terrificon, especially Neil and George both. But my point being is it's been a rough year. I think I can speak for everybody here. We've reviewed a lot of his work. We're really hoping for a speedy recovery. Best of luck. I think that's all we can say, right?
Absolutely.
So,
totally.
Next.
Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Nico Santos from Superstore has been cast in an unknown role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love him. Love Superstore. Love.
Superstore was an amazing show.
It really, I got into it a little later, and I am all for an awesome ensemble cast. Like, honestly, and like, I've worked jobs like that. So a lot of what they touched on, I was like, thank you, God.
It was totally Walmart,
Oh, 100%. It was great. It's a great show. It's always nice. It's always funny when you see other actors from it in different things, like in different shows. You're like, okay, you're here. Okay. Like the guy who played Jonah was in Silicon Valley. And I was like, oh, okay. This is nice. Leo, if you go to Grand
I'm totally up for that cannoli.
He wrote it down. That's legally binding. That's a legally binding agreement for cannolis. If you break that, J-Bo, we got to Godfather you.
Wait, why can't we have cannolis at Terrificon?
Yeah, J-Bo.
J-Bo's never missed a Terrificon. Come on, Jay.
No.
J-Bo, we're gonna have a table there too. You better come and see us with cannolis.
Also, by the way, I feel like suddenly if we ever have a panel about us, I feel like someone's going to bring up, Drew, why are you always eating at the beginning of every
I was going to ask that.
Yeah. I'm just going to be like, because I do a lot for all of our I am literally 5 minutes to myself to make dinner and then eat it. And today was hamburgers and it was delicious. Okay. So,
and I have to say, I greatly appreciate the time you spent with us, Drew. So it's, I apologize for cutting into your dinner time.
No, it's fine. It's just, I just always feel so bad because I just feel like I'm always eating at the beginning of the show. I'm just always munching on something. Even Rich is like, well, Drew, what did you have today for us? And I'm like, no, this isn't about me. Don't put this on me, Rich. Like, I feel like if
that could be a weekly panel. What's Drew eating?
Yeah. You know what we need to do is we need to move the show like after Still Token With, because at the end of that, Jeff is always going to go eat. Like that's the sign off is he has to go to dinner, and then we can cut to Drew having dinner.
Drew having dinner.
So what I'm hearing is the best crossover is just me and him sitting down at dinner being like, how was your show? It was good. Shut up and eat.
Oh, yeah.
All right, fine.
So speaking of Superstore, just real quick, since we brought up, Superstore and Walmart, I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have ever had like a Walmart experience where, so we had to run out. Well, so, going, okay, I'm just going to say this out loud. We had to go out to Walmart. We went out like really late at night. It had to be like 1 a.m. And I said, I wasn't going to go in. So I went in. I'm wearing my my Superman night attire. And jammies. I'm wearing Superman jammies.
Rich, is it jammies or a robe? I'm imagining.
No, it's a one piece that he can unbutton the butt part.
Wow. No. If it is, he's got a cape with it.
Yeah. So a little one though. It's a short cape.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can just see him going to the bathroom.
It goes down just to the middle of his back. That's it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sitting in the car. I didn't plan on going in. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and my wife texts me, "They have a Millennium Falcon here." Oh shit! Do I?
Okay, I have one more question. Were you wearing shoes or were you wearing like out?
I was wearing slippers.
Or do you have footies on? Wait, what kind of slippers?
They were just regular slippers.
Like just a standard like brown slipper.
Okay.
Blue
slipper. All right. I'm imagining him like one of the grandparents in Willy Wonka. Got the long shirt with the hat on. Looks like Scrooge in the movie. Oh,
that's great.
I hear you have Millennium Falcons. Oh dear boy, Star Wars Day it is. Yeah.
Lego or toy?
It was a toy.
Okay.
So I go into the side entrance, thinking like nobody's there. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. It's like almost nobody there. So I figured it is okay. Mm-hmm. So, I go, I check it out, and it wasn't, the one I was looking for. So I decided to finish shopping with her, because the store was virtually empty.
In your Superman jammies.
In my Superman jammies. We're in checkout.
And one piece or two pieces?
Two pieces.
Okay.
So as always, that would happen. I'm in line with her in my Superman jammies, and walks by as somebody I work with.
Thank God thank God she loves you. She goes to you at Walmart at 1 a.m. and she is seen with you. And if someone asks, is he drunk? You're like, no, that's just my husband.
No. The real question is, what were you doing? What were you picking up at 1 a.m. at Walmart, Leo?
I can't remember what. I think it was like somebody's birthday that weekend, and we
Okay,
were,
so
yeah.
it wasn't like a
This is
devilish
about his
snack or
last-
some. It wasn't
No,
lube.
no.
It wasn't lube.
Oh no.
Yeah, because I honestly, that's what I thought. I was like, this is something embarrassing. So it's either tampon,
That's why I brought it up.
like Pepto-Bismol, something sensitive that he doesn't want to tell.
Imodium.
But again, yeah, right. He's picking. He's buying materials for dynamite. I don't anything. Leo, you're at 1 a.m. Like, do you understand how dangerous that is? What you could see there? Like, this is like going to a 7-Eleven at 3 a.m. You don't know what's happening.
Wait, Walmarts are open at 1 a.m. Where?
There's super Walmarts are open 24 hours.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Rich, that's because one, consumerism is 24/7, and two, somebody has to suffer. So Walmart will make sure that someone will.
Okay, absolutely.
So yeah, that's my Star Wars story, and we got a bunch of comments apparently.
Yeah, you're a grown man in Superman pajamas. They're like, is he one of those where he's a grown man but he's 5? Does he, like Jack, Robin Williams and Jack? You're 8 but you're a grown man. It's okay.
So yes, J-Bo, I was one of the people at Walmart
on the website.
Oh, on the website.
if Leo, I'm sorry, if I find that's going to be the when you call photo. I'll be like, oh, it's Super Jammies.
Wait,
Hello.
Leo, that's the idea. Can we do that for the business cards? Just you and your Superman jammies and like a little cape that like just goes down to like just past your shoulders. That'd be hilarious.
I'm gonna need to find a cape now. I have plenty of Superman shirts, but
yeah, I can see it now. Let's get Krypton comfy with it, yo.
Leo, a giant diaper and a Superman shirt and the tiny little.
No, let's not embarrass him. Like
no.
He's not that old.
I'm not trying to embarrass him. I just think that sounds fun.
Listen, Leo, I'm gonna make this very clear. For Terrificon, whatever you do.
Wait, put your request in for cannolis. J-Bo, cannolis. We're saying it.
He says T. Farrelly McNeil said you have to put in a request in for cannolis for Terrificon.
Yeah, that's his way.
Okay. Hold on. I got this, guys. We would like to please the cannoli gods by bringing us delicious pastries full of calories and sugar and spice and everything Italian nice. Otherwise, we will have to invoke the Godfather law in which we leave the gun, but we take your cannolis. So please, Mr. and Mrs. McNeil, bring us the cannolis and maybe one donut. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Speaking of cannolis, you guys caught up with the offer? I know Rich is.
I know.
I
think there's
Leo,
another episode to go though.
Leo.
Yes.
Thank you, J-Bo. Yes, we'll all see our doctor after Terrificon. I'm still very behind. I have not caught up to the offer because I'm catching up to every other fucking show out there.
Mm-hmm. Did you at least watch Miss Marvel?
No. I need to say this. I'm warming up to the idea of watching it because I heard it's actually pretty decent. I think.
True. We've got an Into the Spider-Verse vibe going on.
Okay.
Really?
Well.
Oh,
listen.
yeah. It does.
Okay. Listen, I'm gonna probably wait till it's all out so then I can just watch it.
J-Bo. Yeah.
Thank you, J-Bo.
Somebody said that Bruno character is possibly the next Iron Man.
All right.
Is that her friend?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the friend, childhood friend, inventor, potential love interest kid. Yeah.
Right. He made the gloves.
Yeah,
Right.
and he had like that lab where he was tinkering
Yep.
with stuff.
Right.
Okay.
He's
right.
always
The
thinking,
Tinkerer.
The Tinkerer. Okay, I know we need to wrap things up real quick. Raw 10, Todd McFarlane, Whip and Rooster Teeth team for doing an animated series based off of the figures.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Nice.
No, it's not that. Cygor? I'm sorry, that King Kong mech mashup reminds me of Cygor from
Yeah.
Spawn.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right, continue going.
So it's Deadline. Hollywood's reporting exclusively that Todd McFarlane Films is teaming up with Warner Brothers and Rooster Teeth Studios for an adult animated series inspired by the Raw 10 action figures.
Okay, can I just say one thing? Are we ever going to get the Spawn movie? This man keeps doing so many more things. I'm just like, my dude.
Just give up on it.
We got the great animated HBO.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to get.
James Gunn tweeted this today, hinting at another new
Show?
new
Suicide
show.
Squad.
It's the Thinker.
The Thinker.
The Thinker.
Yeah, so if the Thinkerer, because I thought the Thinkerer died in Suicide Squad. By the way, spoilers, but it's been 2 years almost. So
Spoilers.
Yeah, Starro ripped him apart.
Right. So maybe it's a prequel.
Maybe.
I don't know. All I know is that's pretty great. That Peter Capaldi was definitely one of the many highlights in that amazing movie.
And last news item I had is the new spider suit is revealed in a homage to Secret Wars
issue 8. Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. Listen, someone's gonna make it. Listen, let's just be real. Someone's gonna make it. You know, that's just the inevitability. There's always somebody who has enough time and money, even in this horrible period in history. Someone will make that suit. We'll see it at a con somewhere. So,
that's the news items I had for today.
I need to say a few things. One, The Boys.
Oh,
keeps killing it. I need to just say that. Anybody who's watching it, I would love to discuss it with you in a private message. I don't do discussions over the DM. And two, if you haven't caught up, please catch up, because this new season is firing on all of the
Oh, hell yeah.
cylinders. Like, I can't. Shut up, Rich. But it was great. Leo, I have to be honest with you. I'm having some real mixed feelings about Kenobi. I'm not gonna lie to you there.
Okay. It's understandable.
Yeah,
But Drew, you can't tell me you don't love that little actress playing Leia. She's remarkable.
Oh no, she is the best part of the series. Besides seeing Ewan literally showing that he is one of the best. I will say this though. The thing I did like to see is that I read an article where, because everybody knows that Hayden Christensen is going to cameo as Vader, aka Anakin again.
Well, he's been in it though, right? That's been hidden. Spoiler in the Bacta tank.
Right, but the point being is, the day he was on set, they said the entire crew, even people who were off, came on set just to watch the scenes be filmed, to see this stuff happen. And Ewan said it was to see such support and appreciation and love was one of the best things he's ever seen in his whole career. And I'm just glad to see that, because Leo and Rich, we've talked about, how Star Wars is a good example of where fans really turn on actors for the portrayal of the characters and whatnot, which isn't exactly fair a lot of the times, that they get such hate because the character maybe isn't as well liked or doesn't live up to their expectations. It's just nice to see
here tonight that turtles don't have that kind of connotation.
Yeah.
You know, and funny, I was thinking that like a lot of the fan bases I know, I can think of a few instances of where there's just, I'm going to be honest, there's crappy fans, just, you know, crappy, elitist bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And for the life of me, I can't really think of an experience where, you know, a turtle fan was just a dick. I mean, I'm sure they exist. You know, I'm sure there's a Krang somewhere operating a toxic fanboy or girl, you know, either one.
Oh, you mean you like the CGI turtles? What?
Right. You know, but I honestly can't think of it. Everyone I've met, and I've met a few of the turtle people, everyone's really pleasant and they enjoyed their experience working on it. And it was just so funny because I didn't get to ask Steve this. If we have him ever back, I will ask him this because he's the inspiration for Michealangelo. And I'm thinking Mikey, I'm thinking him on top of the T-Rex wearing the bat, cape and cowl, or in the Ghostbusters crossover, he's rocking a proton pack. And I'm just thinking, I would ask him, like, which one is more you? And I feel like he would say it's on top of the T-Rex wearing the.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. It definitely, you know, seems like he's a Batman fan as well. So,
But can we just both acknowledge, can we all three acknowledge, like I said, I was a fan of the Street Sharks crossover, but he really sold me on the Daredevil crossover.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to have to get that print.
Yeah. And rereading that first 3, I totally forgot about that until today, Drew, when I reread it like an hour before the show.
Right. I mean,
that's just so cool. And I wanted to ask him, I had one more question because Stockton, what's that character's name? Something Stockton?
Baxter Stockton.
Baxter Stockton. I was wondering if that had anything to do with the Baxter building, because at one point he had the letters all inverted for the name of the building that he was first blowing up. And I was like, oh, that's like Baxter, and that's his name. I was like, I wonder if they were pulling more nerd stuff that we weren't even aware of.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. A lot of that back in the day, you could get away with that. You know, which is another great thing that, you know, you never know. And it's always funny because whenever I'm working on articles for Screen Rant, sometimes it's oh, I know this. I'm like, yes, but you know this. But what happens if someone else doesn't?
Right. You got to share.
You know, you got to, you know, sometimes it's about remembering that not everybody is an Uber fan. There are some people who don't know every, you know, there's some people that like know every planet in the Star Wars universe. There's some people who don't know.
I don't.
Every version of the Joker. There's some people who don't know all the Ghostbusters and their respected multiverse components. You know,
it's possible.
Sometimes it's about what you don't know that you have to share. You know,
right. And not knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe. And that's our show, everyone. So, you know.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up because I know as we ran late. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. Definitely check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us, for all the information on our awesome guest that we had earlier. And if you missed it, just hit rewind, you know, and check it out. Steve Lavigne was an amazing guest. And with that being said, Drew.
Oh, hi. I'm clearly a fan.
Were you prepping something? Because I forgot you were prepping something.
Nope. Wasn't prepping a photo shoot. Just wanted to just get my fan out. It's hot in here. But I'm Drew. When I'm not being a total jackass on Splash Pages, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I do things for Screen Rant sometimes. I do things here. If you're looking to meet me, I will be at the Terrificon page. Yeah, you keep on keeping on.
Yeah, Velvet Joker.
And Rich Davis here, Velvet Joker, as you well know, here every Tuesday night on the award-winning Splash Pages, a comic book club. And you can find me, Velvet Joker 2021 on the gram, Rich Davis on Facebook. And if you have any really like bitchy things to say to me, just hit up Leo at leopon.com.
Oh, gee, thanks.
What you gotta do?
Yeah. And speaking of me, just Google Leopold. You'll find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. But more importantly, follow these awesome dudes. And I run a little thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network. We got about 40 shows on the network. There's a lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. So head on over to thedorkening.com, which you can find all the latest episodes of the latest shows there. And with that, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Peace out. Good night.